Good afternoon, freshmen. Today's practical is going to be left side relaxer, right side color. First thing you must do is sanitize your hands. I have my hand sanitizer here, and I have all the necessary equipment to get the client draped. This is going to be my relaxer, and this is going to be my color. I have my applicator brushes, I have my Vaseline, and I have my gloves. We will now begin. Sanitizing of the hands is very serious and very crucial. You want to make sure your hands are always clean, even prior to your gloves. This is just alcohol, and I have my gloves. Gloves can be purchased at Sal's or even at the dollar store. You get 10 for $1, and Sally's also have gloves that are reusable, like the kitchen gloves. As you can see, the hair has already been sectioned off into quadrants. You are going to do that with your client. I had this done, pre-done for the video. Again, left side is going to be relaxer, right side is going to be the color. I'm going to drape my client first. I have my drape and I have my towels. It's towel cake towel. I'm going to use tape because I don't have a clip. And my other towel. Okay, so now she's properly draped. One of the first things you're going to do is you're going to base the client for relaxer. You're going to also do a partial base for color. Why? Because you want to make sure that you don't get color on the skin. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the way around. Put your product on the back of your hand and lightly base your client. Make sure you get the ears really well, because color has a tendency to get a little trapped there. And I'm going to move her around. I'll move her back this way just so you can see.
Does Vaseline work good for that?
This way?
Vaseline?
I use Sensitive Scalp because it's a lighter product and it's easier to get off.
Vaseline would also work too?
It is, but make sure you keep it off the hair because it coats the hair.
Okay.
And that's something that you don't want. Okay. I'm going to move my client over, and I'm going to begin to base this section first, and then I'm going to base the second section. Make sure the subsections are relatively small. Reason being is because you want to make sure that the product is able to penetrate, and also to ensure that you get really, really good coverage, especially on a relaxer. Okay? And I'm going to use the end of my applicator as opposed to using another comber or anything else. And try to avoid scratching of the scalp, because if you scratch the scalp, they're going to burn.
This is for relaxer.
This is for the relaxer.
Are you applying it with your hand?
I am.
You don't use a brush?
No, you don't. And I've run out of product, so I'm going to get myself some more. And like I said, it goes on the scalp. And relaxer is a means of straightening one's hair chemically. And this is sodium hydroxide relaxer. And I work from the bottom to the top because the hair is out of my way, as you can clearly see. It doesn't take a lot of effort, and I'm not working hard. Okay. I've done the first subsection for the relaxer. I'm gonna leave the back, but this is for training purposes. The application is the same all the way around the head, okay? So now that we base our client, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my color, my relaxer. The relaxer should be 1/4 of an inch to an inch off of the scalp. Why? Because heat comes out of the top of the head, and we don't want her to burn. And we'll go back in and we'll smooth it later. Quarter of an inch to the scalp and leaving the same on the bottom. Why? Because it's virgin hair and we do not want the hair to be over processed. Typical on African American hair, you wouldn't have to pull it over to the side. The hair is coarse enough that it's gonna stay. But again, this is training purposes and it is a mannequin. You notice there's product that has bled through the other side. That's when you know you have pretty good subsections. You see? And if it's not penetrating through the other side, chances are you're not using enough. And or the subsection is too big, one or the other. And that's approximately an inch from the end of the hair.
Oh, you don't get the ends either?
Mm-mm, not just yet. And we're doing this as a virgin head of hair. However, if it was just a relaxer retouch, then you're gonna do new growth only. The new growth, your line of demarcation. And that's very important. Why? Because again, you don't want to over process. And you probably want to know, no one's asked yet, what is the process time? On a virgin head of hair, roughly 30 minutes. And you say, what does that entail? Hopefully that would entail applying the chemical and working it through.
And how long is a non-virgin hair?
Non-virgin hair, it's gonna take a little bit longer, a lot longer, because virgin means it's never been touched. So it's gonna be very, very coarse.
Or non-virgin?
I'm sorry?
The non-virgin one.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so it take
Non-virgin, I'm sorry, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Roughly 20 or so, depending on how fast you're working. I'm sorry, I didn't get that, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's what it looks like. One moment, I forgot my phone. We have applied the relaxer on this virgin head of hair, and so now I want to work it through. This is if you're working on a real client. For State Board, that's all you have to do, what I've just done. You do 3 subsections and you're done, okay? But now you have this client that has come in, you've done all this, and you say, okay, so now what's next? Well, now I have to work it through. So you're going to go back over your own work, and you're going to smooth it out. You're going to smooth it out. And that's when the hair really, really gets straight. And you'll notice the hair is going to start to break down. And this is a mannequin, so she's a little tangly, because normally I wouldn't even have to comb it.
You're basically like patting it in
Well, you're smoothing it
Oh, you,
with
You
the
see?
other side.
with the back of the comb. You're just going to smooth it. And if it gets tangled, it's okay, but try to avoid doing a lot of combing, because the polypeptides is what it's called, are really starting to break down. Not break the hair, but break down. It softens. And so now I'm just smoothing it out.
we go all the way to the bottom, to
Yeah,
the
because
roots?
remember your hands, you're going to have product on it just because you're working, and it's going to get down to the ends because the cuticle layer opens up and it's going to get straight.
Okay.
And plus you're still handling. Okay, see?
Mhm.
And then from time to time, I'll make sure the client's okay. I'll ask her, are you okay? And if they say that they're starting to tingle or itch or something, you need to move a little bit faster, because that's what happens before they start to burn. You say, well, why do women do this? Well, because we want our hair straight. That's why we do it.
For State Board, are we doing it on a mannequin or a person?
On a mannequin, and you only have to do 3 subsections like I did. You do 3 subsections and that's it.
Okay.
How many did you do on that?
I did the whole quadrant.
Oh, so you're
But
saying-
this is for training purposes. But chances are, you're gonna probably end up having to do a relaxer at some point in time while you're here.
Mhm.
So it's not just a gender thing. And those of you that think that you're not gonna do any color or relaxer, I'm sorry, it's gonna happen. You're gonna learn today. Okay, and I kinda lift the hair so it can breathe, so it won't get hot. Cut.